Though the team's not winning, it's still important that Jac Caglianone continues to hit. We'll give you our reason why next on Locked On Royals.
You are Locked On Royals, your daily Kansas City Royals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You were tuned in to a Tuesday edition of Locked On Royals and the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jac Johnson, and you can find me on Twitter at JohnnyJ_15. That is at JOHNYJ_15. You also can listen to us on wherever you download your podcast. That can be Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Google Podcast, Odyssey, and YouTube. Just be sure to hit the follow button and subscribe. For you first-time listeners wondering what to expect from this channel, we bring you episodes Monday through Friday, 30-minute episodes in length. And we also have the Locked On Royals postcast, which is hosted by Chance Lebo, where he goes to you live for about 15 to 20 minutes after the game. Before we get started, I want to tell you today's show is brought to you by KALSHI. For a limited time, download the KALSHI app and use code LOCKEDON to get $10 off when you trade $10. It was another loss for the Royals last night, this time in Hollywood against the Dodgers. It was the bullpen letting them down. Surprise, surprise. And what's new with the 2026 Royals? I mean, you can have a lead for 5 innings, 6 innings, maybe, if you're lucky, 7 or 8 innings, but the bullpen is more often than not going to choke away that game. It was John Schreiber last night. It might be somebody different tonight or in tomorrow's game. I hate to be that negative, but there's just not a lot of reliable arms in that bullpen, especially with Daniel Lynch moving to the rotation. Who do you got out there that you really trust in a high leverage spot? To me, it's Steven Cruz, and that's about it. John Schreiber has pitched pretty well for the most part, but as I said last night, he was the one to cough up that game. We're not going to spend too much time on the guys in the bullpen. We are going to talk about the bullpen in the second segment, but more so about what they can do to improve it. To open up the show, let's talk about Jac Caglianone. He yet again was impressive in the lineup. He was the star for the Royals last night, had the RBI single in the first inning, then had just a laser beam of a home run off Tarik Skubal in his next at-bat. Finished the night 2 for 4, but still, when you're facing Tarik Skubal and you drive in 3 runs and 2 at-bats, you'll take that every single time. And considering he wasn't playing against lefties early on in the season, it has been refreshing to see. Because you know going into next year, there is no platoon situation. There is no easing him into the lineup. He will be an everyday player, and you are counting on him to be your 3-hole hitter. Maybe your cleanup hitter, depending on who you bring in the offseason or where Vinny Pasquantino is. I know he's beginning his rehab assignment tonight, and we'll see where he goes from there and what he looks like in spring training. But I would imagine the Royals want to have Garcia, Witt, and Caglianone as their 1, 2, 3 at the top of the lineup to begin next year. I go back to last year and Jac Caglianone getting rushed to the big leagues and him looking a bit lost at times, looking overwhelmed, and a lot of people in our comment section going, he's just not the answer. He's always going to be like this. He's going to be a big swing and miss guy. He's going to hit 200 at best. He might get to 20 home runs. And I was taken back by how many people were willing to give up on Jac Caglianone because of a poor rookie campaign. Because this was a guy that, national scouts, national reporters said, next to Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani, he's got some of the most impressive raw power in all of baseball. And guys that have power like that, yes, they're going to swing and miss. Yes, they are going to have lower averages, but they're going to hit anywhere from 40 to 50 home runs, either every single year or every other year. And Caglianone's only at 21. It's not like he's at 35 or 40 home runs with a month and a half to go. The goal right now would be to get to 30 home runs. I was asked on our Mailbag Friday if I believe he gets there. I think he falls a bit short, but it's not going to dictate how good or poor his season is. It's just a nice round number. When you hear a 30 home run season, it's different than a 28 home run season. To have that nice round number, and 30 home run seasons aren't all that common. Of course, baseball's different now. You see a lot of guys with 30 home run seasons and 40 home run seasons, but those that have them, you consider them to be pretty big-time powerful hitters. And that's what Caglianone needs to be moving forward. He needs to be that threatening bat in the middle of the Royals lineup that no pitcher wants to face when guys are on. And you got to have good table setters in front of him. I mean, it takes me back. That's the second time I've used that now in this opening segment. But it surprises me that when you look at his overall lines, his slash line, how many runs he's driven in, the home runs, he's got 21 homers and like 52 RBIs. That is something that cannot happen next year. He needs to be 30 home runs, 40 home runs, and 100 driven in. You need to put him in a spot in the lineup where he can do damage, he can drive in runs, and put your better hitters ahead of him. He doesn't need to be hitting sixth. He doesn't need to be hitting behind Vinny or Salvi. He needs to be your 4-hole hitter or your 3-hole hitter. It's one or the other. I don't care if it's a righty on the mound, a lefty on the mound, or the kid for the Cardinals right now that can throw from both sides. I don't care. He needs to be hitting third or fourth in the 2027 lineup. But it is important that he finishes the year strong. Because as we touched a little bit on yesterday, what are the bright spots about this year? I mean, truthfully, something that makes you turn on the TV. I mean, I even said Steven Cruz pitching well over the last couple months has been a bright spot. That's nice, but when I'm talking about a bright spot, I mean a reason to turn on the TV. Steven Cruz is fun to watch pitch, but he might not even play on any given night. It all kind of depends on what the game's looking like. If the Royals are down 8-1 in the 8th inning, he's not coming into the game. Caglianone's going to be in there every single night. And him wrapping up this sophomore campaign with 30-plus bombs, maybe hitting north of 260, you've got your answer on Jac Caglianone. You know he's capable of doing that at the big league level. And that was a question mark going into 2026. That was a big question mark. And it was a roll of the dice. The Royals elected not to sign an impact bat because they believe that Jac Caglianone could be that. He has been. Jac Caglianone has been better than any of the impact bats they were looking at. Jarren Duran, Brendan Donovan, Taylor Ward. He's been better than all of them. And you need to start looking into how you can lock this guy up, how you can give him that contract extension. Because it might be the last opportunity you have to do it. He goes into next year and he hits 35, 40 home runs. He's one of the top outfield bats in the sport. Good luck trying to sign him to an extension while trying to overhaul your roster. I mean, right now you could give him that nice team-friendly, player-friendly deal in the same way that we saw it for Maikel Garcia, though his is going to be more expensive than what Maikel's was. I believe Garcia is only making anywhere from 12 to 15 million. I can't remember off the top of my head. Cags is going to be a little bit more pricier than that. He's going to be a little bit more expensive. He was a top 10 draft pick. He is a household name right now. He is probably going to be, assuming everything stays on track, one of the top home run bats in the sport. And it reminds me a lot of Junior Caminero last year. Now, Caminero is still 22 or 23. I mean, he's Cags' age, and he's already had this type of season. But Junior Caminero had that breakout year last year, and he finished with over 40 home runs. He was a guy that you could look forward to in the home run derby. He had the flair. He had the threatening bat for the Rays lineup. And when I mean that, it's when you're eyeballing that lineup, you're scouting that lineup. That's the guy you don't want to face with the bases juiced. It needs to be Caglianone. And the Baseball Savant pages, they match up pretty well. Caminero's 2025 looks a lot like Caglianone's 2026. I would appreciate it if he walked a little bit more, just because you're going to go through those extended slumps if you don't do that. You have a 5% walk rate like he's been posting for a while now. You're going to have some pitchers that can put you into those 0 for 25s, those 2 for 30s with 16 strikeouts. Though I can live with that if you're going to hit 265 and run into 40 home runs. But if you're going to be a 230 hitter, then that's a different story here. And I'm hoping that the average can be 260 to 265. And I'm not going to care too much if his OBP's 320. Because as I said, the home runs is what's going to dictate how good or bad he is offensively. I mean, I know that people say chicks dig the long ball and all of that, but baseball is driven in this era by your ability to hit the ball out of the yard. The teams that hit a bunch of home runs, they usually have really good lineups. They have a bunch of guys that are tough to get out. The teams that don't hit a lot of home runs, they're not these top 5 offenses out there. You might get those outliers every once in a while. The Rays are a team that love playing small ball, but they still got Junior Caminero in there. The Royals need to have a lineup that can put Jac Caglianone in a lot of favorable spots. And him doing this with a lineup that has been so hit and miss, very banged up, him bouncing all around the order, it's good that he finishes the year, or it's a good sign that if he finishes the year strong, you're going to try to find a way to build that lineup maybe around him a little bit more. Now, the last couple of years has been, how can you build a lineup around Bobby Witt Jr.? Maybe it's build the lineup around Jac Caglianone in the middle of that order, which means helping out Bobby Witt Jr. You got Bobby hitting second, Cag's hitting 3. You got more threats down in the middle of the order. That's going to help Bobby more. Bobby doesn't need to be hitting ahead of Vinny Pasquantino or Salvador Perez. He needs to be hitting ahead of Jac Caglianone. So if Cag's hitting 4, I want Bobby 3. Cag's hitting 3, I want Bobby 2. So, yeah, I would say maybe you need to tailor this lineup around making that middle of the order tough to go through. Right now, you get past Caglianone, you don't have a lot of damage doers, if you will, in the 5 hole, in the 6 hole, and in the 7 hole. It's going to be tough to do that in one off season, of course. But to see Caglianone do this, we now know they don't need to worry about right field. That is a guy that's going to be out there, and that's a guy that you can hit in the meat of your order, which is what they envisioned when they drafted him out of Florida. Do you see Jac Caglianone finishing with 30 home runs? Let us know in the YouTube comments below. When we come back, let's take a step into this coming off season and how the Royals can improve this bullpen. We'll dive into it next on Locked On Royals. On KALSHI, America's #1 prediction market platform, you can trade on every single game. And looking ahead tonight, I'm going to go to that Boston and Toronto series. Right now, the Blue Jays trading at 55% compared to Boston's 45%. The Red Sox had some lackluster base running the other night, but also whoever's running the scoreboard, they didn't do them a whole lot of favors where they changed the outs mid-play, where there was a fly out that confused the runners. They went from 2 outs to 1. They got it wrong. And then you saw the umpires try to go to New York for a rule check. It was all kinds of crazy. But Boston has still been one of the hotter teams in the sport. I'm going to go with them tonight. And I'm curious what that percentage is going to look like once we get closer to first pitch. But on KALSHI, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. Download the KALSHI app and use code LOCKEDON to get $10 off when you trade $10. KALSHI, KALSHI, trade on anything. 18 and up only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. KALSHI products are not available in all jurisdictions. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory. Also want to tell you about Dose Daily, one of our newer sponsors here on Locked On. And can we talk about one of the most underrated organs in your body, your liver? It's your body's filter processing everything you consume and performing more than 500 functions every day. It's involved in things like energy production, digestion, fat metabolism, and vitamin storage, so it's doing a lot of work behind the scenes. That's why giving your liver daily support can be an important part of building healthy habits. Dose Your Liver is a clinically backed liver health supplement designed to support daily liver function. Unlike other capsule or powders, Dose comes as a liquid 2-ounce daily shot that tastes like fresh squeezed orange juice. It's 0 sugar, 0 junk, and 0 calories, making it an easy addition to your daily routine. Ready to give your liver the support it deserves? Head to dosedaily.co/LockedOnMLB or enter LockedOnMLB to get 35% off your first subscription. Your body does so much for you. Let's do something for it. That's dosedaily.co/LockedOnMLB for 35% off your first month subscription. We are on to segment number 2 of Locked On Royals and the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jac Johnson, and you can always find me on Twitter at JohnnyJ_15. I had said last night that as we get to mid-September, late September, we're going to be turning our attention to what the Royals can do in building that roster for 2027. Now, I understand it's August 11th, but guys, bear with me a little bit. I'm not sure after last night's game, after the Cubs series, what more you can talk about right now. I mean, you got Noah Cameron's start. I could have spent a little bit of time on him, and I thought he grinded last night. I was pretty impressed with what he was able to do against a really tough lineup, and John Schreiber let him down. John Schreiber was called upon to get one out, and he couldn't get it done, and therefore his final line looks a lot worse than what it really should have been. But you got Waka going tonight. Do we really need to talk about Waka tomorrow or Lugo or Randy Dobnak? And we've talked about Randy Dobnak, and I love watching him pitch, but this is more so about saving this team segments for the younger guys, Caglianone, Steven Cruz, maybe some of the guys they call up in September. And a lot that's going to be mixed in is, okay, so 2027, how do we go about this thing? They want to compete. How do they compete? And I was looking at a couple of stats today where the Royals rank second to last in bullpen ERA. I went back to 2023 because I've been going down the rabbit hole a little bit on where this bullpen ranks among all the worst bullpens in Royals franchise history. Where do they stack up? And 2023 also finished second to last. And the Royals brought back 2 relievers for that bullpen. It should be worth noting, Carlos Hernandez, who was in that 2023 bullpen, he started the year on the injured list. You also had Jake Brentz, who wasn't healthy in 2023, but he was on the injured list as well. And they did have Jordan Lyles in the bullpen as a long reliever. So technically they brought back 3 guys to stash in that bullpen, but they scrapped that group. And their goal, as I've mentioned before, was to throw more strikes. That bullpen wasn't very good when it was all said and done, but it was an improvement from 2023. John Sherman, as we talked about yesterday as well, said we need to invest in the bullpen. And I guarantee in this go-around, it's not going to be about finding guys that just throw strikes. They need to be finding guys that can get the swing and miss. They need to be finding guys that are high-powered, high-velocity guys that are tough to face late in the game. And the only stat I forgot to bring up on today's show was, what's the Royals' record after the 7th inning? I can tell you this right now, it's not very good because their ERA in the 9th inning is north of 6. And that leads me to this segment. Should the Royals overpay for a closer this offseason? Give out the contract where people go, wow, that is quite a bit of money for a really good closer. But 2 years from now, is that going to hurt them? Is he going to be somebody that is just taking up space in that bullpen? I mean, poor ERA, can't stay healthy. Well, as I would like to say, they don't really have a choice. They said they want to compete. And when you say something like that, that means that you have to go out there and spend quite a bit of money. You don't have the luxury of signing a bunch of minor league deal guys and giving them a shot to compete in your bullpen. I don't care what you think about that guy. I don't care if you feel like you found the diamond in the rough. That's fine. That's all fine and dandy here. And I'm okay if that guy competes for the 7th spot in the bullpen. But your high leverage spots, your 8th inning spot, your 9th inning spot, they need to be elite relievers. That's the way this team can get closer to contention. You got to have a really good bullpen. Last year's team, 82-80, poor offense, subpar starting pitching from time to time, but surprisingly, a top 10 bullpen in terms of ERA. And that's not everything. You do want to get a lot of strikeouts. You want to limit base runners. You want to have a lower on-base percentage from your opponents, right? You're not walking a bunch of guys. So would you be okay if they went out there and gave Adrian Morejon a big-time deal? And he's going to be likely the most coveted reliever out there. But for the Royals to stand out and keep him from going to a team like the Yankees or the Dodgers or back to the Padres or the Phillies, you got to offer up a contract that can compete with those other teams. What if you were to go give Jose Alvarado a big deal? Alvarado has one of the craziest splits in terms of what his actual numbers are and what his baseball savant page looks like. His savant page looks like he should have a 1.5 ERA, and his ERA is near 6. And we know that he brings the heat from the left side. The Royals give him a big-time deal. Would you be okay with it if he was your closer going in the next year? What if they gave Brian Abreu from the Astros, 29 years old, a big-time deal. I know Chance Lebo, when we had him on, really liked him as a free agent prospect. I mean, you might need to be in that headspace of we got to go out there and give a closer a 3-year or 4-year deal, or we got to go give up resources to bring in a closer. And I usually wouldn't say this, and I would say it's pretty reckless to do. Like, if the Royals were 500 right now and Steven Cruz is pitching like this, I'd say give Steven Cruz the opportunity to begin next year. He's got the stuff. He can do it. But John Sherman and J.J. Picollo don't have the luxury of doing that. They can't miss on who their next closer is. They can't miss on assembling this bullpen. They got to go out and add 4 or 5, maybe even 6 guys to that group. And I know that overpaying for a closer means you might be handcuffed a little bit on who else you can grab. But you'll feel a lot better about that bullpen if you've got somebody you can absolutely trust in the 9th inning. And it's not as easy as just throwing somebody $18 million a year or $15 million a year. That's a lot of money for a closer. But bear with me. I mean, Edwin Diaz got a lot of money, and he's been pretty poor for the Dodgers and has not been very durable. He's also an older closer, which is why I keep going back to Adrian Morejon. It's a guy that's under 30, who's not even a closer just yet, but will be the most coveted reliever when the winter meetings roll around. I doubt he'll sign very early on because he's going to play the field here. But John Sherman and J.J. Picollo, as I will probably say 200 more times before the end of the season, you put yourself in a box. You want to compete. You believe this team can win. Those are the type of moves that you have to do if you believe you can win. You got to have those deals that say, we are a different team now. We are a different group. This is a different ownership group, and this is a different front office. This is not Dayton Moore 2.0. This is not the Glass family 2.0. We believe we can turn this thing around in one offseason. And overpaying for a closer, it sounds derogatory, like, oh, you're just giving a bunch of money to a guy who won't be very good. But you gave Carlos Estevez a lot of money, at least by the closer standards, and what he was expected to be. He did lead the league in saves. I'd take that next year from whoever's out there. But I also want somebody that can really put fear into an opposing team. There's a couple guys out there that can do that. And it doesn't just stop with the closer. You go out there and get a big-name closer, then you got to also continue to upgrade that bullpen. Because if you build a really good bullpen, I actually look at the Padres. The Padres are a team that haven't had a good offense really all year long, but here they are in a good playoff spot. Not because of that rotation, not because of Fernando Tatis Jr. or Jackson Merrill. It's because that bullpen is ridiculous. A lights-out bullpen. They also have Mason Miller, but A.J. Preller had the stones to go out there and make a move for Mason Miller. They have a great farm system, and they've always been aggressive. That's a good way to start this thing, by worrying about the bullpen and putting some high-priced, high-end talent, which you haven't really had in quite some time. If the Royals were to overpay for a closer, who would you like to see them go after? Let us know in the YouTube comments below. When we come back, is it time to move Carter Jensen down in the order? I'm going to tell you why it might not be a move that's that simple. We'll talk about it next on Locked On Royals. As the official sock partner of Major League Baseball, Stance knows greatness isn't built in a single moment. It's earned over time through consistency, preparation, and showing up every day. That's why each week we're recognizing one player whose performance embodies those same qualities. I am going to highlight Jac Caglianone. Of course, I've got to. He's going to be the headliner. He's going to be the photo when we post this thing. So I might as well roll with him as being the Stance pick for me. And the everyday icon, of course. And this everyday icon is presented by Stance. Check out the icon collection from Stance. Premium comfort, performance, and durability designed for whatever your day brings. Use promo code LOCKEDON at checkout for 20% off your purchase. Stance, the official sock partner of Major League Baseball. Learn more at stance.com. We are back here on Locked On Royals and the Locked On Podcast Network. I am your host, Jack Johnson, and look forward to Chance Lebo's Locked On Royals postcast later on after Game 2 between the Royals and the Dodgers. It's been no secret that Carter Jensen has really struggled of late. It's been about a month now where he's seen that average dip below 230. It wasn't that long ago when we were talking about this incredible hitting streak that he was on. The underlying metrics have not been solid. It hasn't been this phenomenal year where he's just crushing the ball left and right. And, the 230 average isn't really going to stand out, but everything else really does. It hasn't been that quite of a year for Carter Jensen. You could say that he is enduring a sophomore slump. It also does not mean that it's been a poor season for him. This has been a big step forward in terms of his career, where he's gone from this hopeful prospect, a guy that took some time to develop in the minor leagues. Now he's taking over for Salvador Perez. The lineup around him hasn't been very good. It's tough to just be a key player, a star player in your second professional season when everybody around you is either underachieved or has been banged up. I know Caglianone's looked good. Bobby, when he's been healthy, has been Bobby Witt Jr., but everybody else has not been that great. And I have no doubt those numbers are going to improve once they have a better lineup, a healthier lineup. I just don't see that happening until 2027. And the question right now about him would be, should they move him down the order? It hasn't been very easy for him. He's leading off games. That's a tall task and a lot to ask of a guy who's just in his second year and his first full year at the big league level. And he hasn't been that great of a walk guy either. Though the Royals have never really had a great walk guy to lead off for them. Michael Garcia got better in 2025, but he's not known to be someone who can generate a lot of walks. He might see a lot of pitches, but it's because he fouls off a bunch of pitches. Whit Merrifield was never that guy. Alcides Escobar was never that guy. Before Garcia, after Garcia, India was a walk guy. And then he got to Kansas City and he wasn't as good as he was in Cincinnati. But for Jensen, this to me should be more about getting him at bats. I don't really care if he's going through these slumps leading off. The Royals' goal right now is not winning baseball games. It's too late in the season to turn this thing around. What matters is getting as many at-bats as you can for Jensen and Caglianone, making sure they play every single night. Maybe it's different for Carter Jensen because he's a catcher. Maybe on nights when he's not catching, he's DHing. But he's hitting lower in the lineup again. And they've got Nick Lofton leading off. It's also because Blake Snell's pitching. He's returning from the IL. You had Scooble last night. They maybe just don't want to lead off Jensen against a really tough lefty. Tomorrow, it'll be, looks like they haven't announced the starters yet for the Dodgers. So TBD, he could be leading off. It's a righty, or they're going to permanently move him down. I would just rather him get the at-bats. If it's Nick Lofton or Carter Jensen, I'm not sure you're doing a ton there. Right? Nick Lofton, yes, gives you maybe a slight advantage, and he was good last night off Tarek Skubal. But both those guys are not going to be hitting leadoff next year. Assuming Garcia is healthy, he'll be your leadoff guy. And Jensen will be hitting somewhere like 7th, maybe 6th. I don't know if he'll be as low as 8. 5, 6, or 7 would be his likeliest areas to be placed in the lineup, likeliest spots to see him. I just want to see him get the at-bats. He's got to hit his way out of the slump. You don't want to exhaust him. You don't want to wear him out or anything like that. But he's a young guy. He's a young hitter. And young hitters need to hit their way out of slumps. Jac Caglianone was in a 0 for 20 stretch. He had to hit his way out of it. And now he's been incredibly hot. Carter's at 390 at-bats. He's OPSing at 717. It's not great. 16 bombs on the year, 55 driven in. He's hitting 226. Over his last 15 games, he's hitting 132. His last 30 games, he's hitting 162. It's been ugly. Don't get me wrong. Have him hit his way out of it. Tough lefty. I know that Nick Lofton gives you the advantage there, and you're still going to try to play those matchups. I need to see him get to 500 ABs by the end of the year, which I imagine he will. He doesn't end up on the IL. It's going to happen. He will finish with over 500 ABs. And then it's about taking all the knowledge that you got this year in this sophomore campaign and bettering yourself in the offseason, which I have no doubt Carter Jensen is going to be able to do. Then comes spring training. He'll be making some of those adjustments. So you don't see these 30-game stretches where he's hitting 162 because you need to have your catcher play a little bit better than he has over the last month or so. Can't have Salvi struggling and Carter Jensen struggling at the same time, and need to see him start to break out of this before we come to the end of the season. Don't want to see him finish at 210. He doesn't have the power numbers to be a 210 hitter. He needs to be where Cags is at in that 260 to 270 territory. Do you see Carter Jensen breaking out of this slump anytime soon? Let us know in the YouTube comments below. But that's going to do it for another edition of Locked On Royals and the Locked On Podcast Network. I've been your host, Jac Johnson. Go check out Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night until a World Series champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale and find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. Be sure to check out Chance Lebo's episode tonight after the game. But until tomorrow, you take it easy, Kansas City.